Hello, and welcome to the Seattle ARTTech Observer Orientation video. This video is intended to show you how to set up the VRC client and to show you any of the reference materials that you may need along your controlling journey. So without further ado, let's get started by showing you how to set up VRC. If you haven't done so already, go to your favorite search engine and search VRC, or you can head over to metacraft.com/VRC. This is the radar client of choice that is used on the VATSIM network for controlling all of the aircraft. From here, you will want to head to the downloads section and download the latest version of VRC. From here, you will also want to head to the Seattle ARTTech website at ARTCC.net and download the latest sector files. Sector files are the documents that we use to show you the airspace that you are controlling. Each ARTTech has their own unique set of sector files, so if you choose to visit at another ARTTech or transfer altogether, remember that you will need to use their sector files as well. Ours can be found on our homepage at seaartcc.net under ZSE master file, and at the recording of this video, we're using version 1309. We may release versions in the future, but for right now, this is the current version. You can go ahead and download that. That will download a zip file, which you will find in your downloads folder or wherever you choose to download this. It will look something like ZSE_masterfile_1309. From here, you will want to extract all of the files in this folder, and then you will want to move this folder as well. So you can see we have downloaded and extracted this. We will then want to copy this folder to our documents folder, and then in there you will find a folder called VRC. This is the configuration information as well as the place where we recommend that you store your sector files, just because it is an easy place to remember where you put them. So we're going to paste it right in there, and they will be there for easy usage when we get to it. So from here, what you want to do is then launch the VRC client. To do that, once you ran through the setup procedures, it may appear on your desktop, or you may have to go into your start menu and open up VRC. From here, you are presented with an initial screen. This is where you can save and choose session profiles. As you work with different ARTTechs or even different positions within an ARTTech, you'll find that you'll want to save specific settings as well as how it looks on each profile. So here you can save those profiles and then load up individual profiles when you get to them. Because we don't have any profiles right now, we're just going to want to click default. This will open up a VRC window, which we will get to and show you all of the functions inside. So starting with the file section, this is where we can open up new windows. So if you have a dual monitor setup, you can open up a new window that shows just the airport, where you can also see the entire airspace as well. You can also choose to open up a sector file as well. And this is what I was talking about with sector files. They allow you to see within the ARTTech what exactly it looks like. Now, we have a lot of different sector files. The ones that you will be using most often is either the P80 tracon, which is the Portland, Oregon airspace, the S46, which is the Seattle airspace, or the ZSE sector file, which is the entire airspace. Now, what is unique about the P80 and the S46 as opposed to the ZSE profile is that the P80 and the S46 have specific diagrams that you will be using while you are controlling. The ZSE file is just for those airports that we don't have main sector files for. When you start your training, you will most likely start in Portland, Oregon, so you will want to initially load up the P80 tracon file. This will open it up and show you a lot of different things. Now, it may not look very good right now, but we're going to get into that to show you what you need to load up to make it look all cool and fancy like. But from here as well, you also have your connect button as well, where you can connect to the VATSIM network. Your call sign is always what is going to appear to the people that you are controlling. So if you are going to be logging on as an observer, this is how your call sign should look like. It will be ZSE, which is the call letters for the Seattle airspace, underscore your call letters. So once you get started, you will be assigned call letters. Mine are Charlie, Mike, or CM, and then underscore OBS. So when you are observing the network, maybe getting to know the airspace, maybe looking at people who are controlling, you will want to use this observer call sign so that the network admins won't get mad at you. Of course, you will want to use your real name as well, because they will also get on your case if you don't use your real name. VATSIM admins will know. From here, you will also want to select facility as well. This is the facility that you will be controlling when you are working in the airspace. Say you are going to be working clearance delivery as a clearance delivery controller. You will always want to select the facility that you are controlling. This helps out controllers by displaying you correctly and in the right areas. You will also want to change your rating as well. Obviously, right now you are rated as an observer, but as you get through the levels, you will want to upgrade this. Right now, I personally am a student 3, so if I was going to log on as an observer or a ground controller, let's say if I was going to log on as a ground controller, I would log on as a student 3 and ground. This is how I would sign in. Once you get started as a ground controller, you will want to log in as ground, and your rating will be an S1 or a student 1, and this is how you will want to log in. When you're doing ground call signs or any call signs in general for places you're working, you will always want to put the 3 letters of the airport. So let's say you're working Portland ground, that would be PDX_GND. That stands for Portland ground. Now, if you were leaving somebody on a position, so let's say there was a controller on, but now you were leaving their position, you will want to log in with a different call sign because they don't allow duplicate call signs. For the Seattle ARTTech use, if you log on as a secondary person on the ground, it will be _1_ in the middle of PDX_ground. It will look something like this, so that you will be able to log on and relieve that person in the position. Of course, here you want to enter your certificate ID as well. That is the number that VATSIM is assigned to. That's your VATSIM number, as well as you want to enter your password as well. And then you can pick from the server that's closest to you, whether it's the USA East, North, West, maybe you're in Europe using a Europe server or an Oceania server. That is what you can pick from. Then you can go ahead and click connect, and you'll be connected to the network, and planes should start to appear. Now, through the file menu as well, you can save these session profiles as well. So if you wanted to save a new session profile, it's save session profile as. And let's say I was setting this up for Portland ground, which we are right now. We would do PDX_GND or whatever you want to use to have yourself remember what the profile is for. Then you click OK, and the next time we open up VRC, under where it says default, we will also see PDX_GND. From here as well, you can also open session profiles as well. So let's say you didn't want to use default, maybe you wanted to use Portland ground, you can hit that button and then go open the correct session profile. From here as well, we can exit, and there is one feature in here that you will never use because you need Windows XP plus FS 2004, plus it's kind of buggy, and that is called Start Multiplayer Session. That is where you can actually see the aircraft in the tower in Flight Sim 2004. It's really buggy and is not a feature that is ever used by any controller on the network. It was just there as a legacy feature. But then we move on to settings. This is where you will want to configure as a per station basis on what you want to see. First off is radar modes. Radar modes will show you different tags of information or no tags at all, depending on what you pick out. Because you are starting as a ground controller, you will want to either use the ground or tower radar modes. You can use either one of these modes, and you can flip between them, see the differences, and you will then use what you want to use, what fits for you, basically. Then we have color profiles as well. You can set up your color profiles to look and make the VRC client different depending on what you want to see. If you want it to be lighter colors or darker colors, you can pick different color profiles to reference what you may want to see. This is going to be totally your choice. You can also go into the color profiles and modify current as well to modify and make it what you want to see when it comes to the color profiles. For everybody though, default is the best place to start, and then you can work your way out from there. And then we have filters. Filters allow you to filter out aircraft tags depending on where they are and what you want to see. For example, here we can go into configure and we can set up the filters. Let's say we are working ground. You don't want to see any tags above maybe 5,000 or 10,000 feet because you don't care about the aircraft that are in the air. You only care about the aircraft that are on the ground. And if you happen to have aircraft flying over, it may distract you. So what you can do is you can set something up like airspace floor or airspace ceiling. And then from the checkmark boxes, see if you want to see either the target symbols or the data tags, or you can uncheck them both and you can see none. And you can customize this on how you want. Now, I will show you a way that you can get around this. Maybe if you wanted to quickly look at maybe aircraft that are in the air, but still keep these filters active. I'll show you that a little bit later on. So you can customize the filters to how you want and either activate or deactivate them from the settings menu. Now we're going to get into the meat and juicy part of the VRC client, which is the settings area. This is everything you're going to want to know and see when it comes to setting up the VRC client, when it comes to how you configure stuff. This is where we're going to want to really dive in deep. So of course, we want to first set up our POF file. The POF file basically tells the VRC client where you are and what is near you, and the positions of controllers that are in the airspace. So you're going to want to go to POF file, hit select, and in your ZSE master file folder, you will want to select SEA400.pof. This loads up everything that VRC needs to know about our airspace. From here as well, you can also enable the alias file as well. There is a default one within the ZSE master file folder as well, which we can select. And it's just a simple text document, so you can open it up and see how the alias commands work. Alias commands are very useful for those of you who may have to deal with text pilots, and gives you a nice way to write out quick commands. And you can also customize this to how you want it. We have an example one in there for you to use right now. For right now, most of these settings are default. You can keep everything on the left-hand side here nice and checked. On the right-hand side here, though, you can choose to select or deselect some options. Nobody really uses the system precision cursor in the RTEC. It really depends on who you are. You can try turning it off, try turning it on, and see what you like. Me personally, I keep it off. You can choose to flash the chat box title bar when a new message comes in. This is very useful for reminding yourself that, oh, somebody's trying to text with me in chat. Invert mouse in 3D mode is something that you may not use, so you can keep it unchecked. But we also come to assign squawk codes in random order. Now, if you talk to different people in the RTEC, you will find that some people like to check this box and some people don't like to check this box. Basically, it's how you assign squawk codes. You can either do it in incremental order, so you can assign squawk code 1501 and then 1502 and then 1503, or you can assign the squawk codes randomly, and it makes it more fun and interesting because you're not going sequentially through the numbers. Me personally, I like to keep it checked. Other than that, though, you can keep everything the same. Download only current oceanic tracks. You can click that. Because we are not an oceanic, we're not by an oceanic waypoint or oceanic tracks, we really don't need to download these. If you were working somewhere in New York or Boston, you may have to click these boxes and make sure that they're downloaded. But we're going to move on here to hotkeys. Hotkeys are the keys that you're going to want to be using when it comes to what you're going to be talking with, what you're going to be selecting aircraft with. So first off, we have our aircraft select key. I would highly recommend that you change this to something that you will remember and use more often. I personally use the tab key because it is something that is easy to use. Basically, the aircraft select key allows you to enter in a partial call sign, hit tab, and it will select that aircraft for you and autofill in their information. By changing these, you can just click in the box and then click the key that you want. You can also change your push to talk key as well, making it left to right control, maybe even shift as well. Your controller select key should stay about the same because it is not used very often. Moving over to airspace is something that you need to keep an eye on when it comes to which positions you're working. As a visitor, you can have a target visibility range of up to 300 nautical miles. Anything more, and an admin or a supervisor on the network might message you and tell you that your visibility point is too high, and they'll ask you to reduce it. When you get started working ground and you start working on ground very early, this goes all the way down to 30. Yes, you can only have a 30-mile visibility range when it comes to working ground, so you want to keep a very close eye on that. In your arrival and departure fields, you will want to enter in the 4-letter ICAO codes for the airports. This is a comma-separated list. Now, because we are going to be working at Portland, start off your training, you want to do KPDX, but you also want to do a comma and do KVUO. That is Portland Troutdale. Actually, not Portland Troutdale, that's actually Pearson Field, which is a field that as a clearance delivery controller, you control clearances from. You'll learn more about that once you continue on your training, but you'll want to put that in the arrival field as well as maybe even the departure fields as well. And this is going to come in more often when you're looking at your controllers, your arrivals and departures menu. And we'll get to that here in a minute, and I'll show you why this is important. But just keep a eye on and remember to fill the arrival fields in and the departure fields in for the airports that you are controlling. It will come in extreme handy. In the United States, the transition altitude is 18,000 feet, so you want to have that in 18,000. As well as having the radar floor at 0. These are the settings that we use here in the ARTEC. Data tags is totally up to your choice, but we do have some requirements here. Vector length should be 3 nautical miles, history count should be 5, default leader length 10, default data tag position is 6. Basically, the default data tag is where the data tag will show up in relation to a clockwise position. So if you were to have this at 1, the data tag for the aircraft would show up directly above the little icon where the aircraft is. Or if you wanted it at the bottom, it would be maybe a 10, I believe, or a 9. And it really depends on what you do. People usually like it about a 6, as well as I do. Do not click realistic data tag mode. You'll run into some issues when it comes to controlling aircraft. You will find that you can't right-click on them, and that is a big no-no because you do need to right-click on them to access certain things because you can't access everything via hitting keys. So keep that unchecked. All those 3 should be checked as well, as VFR codes should be 1200. That is the default VFR code, and that will show you VFR aircraft, or it will show you the difference between VFR aircraft and IFR aircraft as well. Your flight strip bay will become of a huge use when you're controlling. Some people swear by it, some people don't use it. It's really up to you. But this is something that you will want to configure and have something for when it comes to using the flight strip bay. So first off, if you have a 2-screen monitor, you might want to enable 2-column flight strip bays. We'll show you the flight strip bay here in a second, but we're just going over the settings right now. You can either enable or disable 2-column flight strip bays, so you can either have more or less room. You can auto add arrival and departure strips, which will be a good idea, so you can keep those checked. You can also do a add strip for initiating and an add strip for accepting, as well as pushing strips when handing off aircraft. And you usually want to push that when the handoff is accepted. This is something that controllers will like you to do when you're controlling and handing off aircraft, because it will then show them the strip of the aircraft and they will know how to control it. As well as you can choose to delete strips when pushing it as well. Those are something that we recommend that you check, as well as that is about it. But we also have colors as well. If you want to enable or change colors of certain flight strips, you can do that from here as well, and we will show you the different colors here in a minute. We also have conflict alerts as well, which can stay the same at about 5 nautical miles, 1,000 feet of separation, and a 0 alert conflict floor. Now, these are default settings, so they should be like that. Your button bar, though, everything should be checked, and that will come in a huge handy in here in a minute when I show you. But from there, you want to click apply before you hit OK, or your settings will not be saved. So hit apply, hit OK, and we've now worked through the general settings area. Something that will be of a big use to you is ATIS Maker. As a ground controller, you may not use ATIS Maker so much as you will be with a tower controller, but when there is a tower controller on and they tell you the current ATIS information, this is a neat way to keep track of that. To do that, you can enter the 4 letter airport call sign. So we're working PDX, we'll do KPDX. And then we can click an ATIS code. So let's say the tower controllers told you that information delta was current. You can then hit information delta. And you can see here up in the upper left, the ATIS and a D has popped up now, showing us the current ATIS information. From here, you also want to click the auto update button, which will pull the METAR every time it's updated, and it will update this letter and flash so that you can keep in line with your tower controller on what the current information is. From here, this is about all you will want to do with the ATIS maker. You will get into making ATISes when you start your tower controlling. But for now, as a ground controller, this is something that comes in a big handy when it comes to keeping track of the current ATIS information when there's a tower controller online. Then we want to move on to color profiles. This is just a dedicated area for you to see the color profiles, maybe make a new color profile, or add a color profile as well so that you can keep track of everything. We also have sounds as well. This is something that I would recommend that you actually go into and listen to these sounds. You can actually go in, pick a sound, hit the play button, and you can hear exactly what it sounds like. So you know if there's a beeping going on or if there's a kerclunk message, you can know exactly what it means and be able to identify it and do something with it. We can also move to the settings and sound area as well. This is where, not settings and sounds, my bad. Settings and audio devices. There we go. We just went over sounds. Audio devices will show you, or will help you set up how to use your audio devices. From here, you want to select your microphone, which will be your microphone, as well as you can set individual headsets and speakers. This might come in handy very shortly. So you can set up maybe this one as a speaker, maybe this one as a headset, and then you can change the output volumes for each one. So maybe if you want them a little bit lower, or a little bit higher, depending on which one you're using, you can set it here. You can also enable VHF simulation. Some controllers like this feature, some controllers choose to keep it off. It's really a controller preference. Some people say that they can hear people better when VHF simulation is on rather than off. Me personally, I like to keep it on. Be sure to hit apply and OK as well. In the settings, the last one is calibrate mic. This one will bring you through a full tutorial on setting up your mic, calibrating it. It will allow you to check to see if your microphone's actually working and how it sounds like, so you can run through that tutorial. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Now we move on into the View menu. This menu shows basically how you view the scope that you're looking at, including stuff like the button bar, which is this bar right here at the top. We can also show the radio history, which is this chat box down below. You can kind of see it outlined there, as well as anchor lines, which you will get into once you get it to about approach. You can also choose to show mouse location as well. This puts a little text in the bottom right-hand corner above your chat history to show you the exact coordinates of where your mouse is. It might come in use for you, it might not, so you can turn that feature on and off. You can also turn on and off Quick Look as well. Quick Look is that feature that I talked about with the filters that allows you to quickly look at planes. So let's say you have planes off above 10,000 feet, but then a tower controller tells you, oh, there's going to be a plane at 12,000 feet. You can turn Quick Look on real quick, and then you can see that aircraft's data tag and then turn it off, and then you won't see anything at all. It's a great feature as Quick Looks. You may want to turn on range rings. You can choose to turn that on or off depending on who you are. That will always go to your center point. We'll talk about center points here in a minute, as well as viz points as well. And really, the view area is a dealer's choice when it comes to what you want to turn on and off. You can turn on airports and see all the airports in the area. You can choose to turn them off as well so you don't see them. You can choose whatever you want to see, as well as maybe you want to see all the fixes in the area. You can see the fixes pop up, or maybe you want to turn them off. It's really dealer's choice, but the ones that we recommend that you keep on are static text. Static text will show you the taxiways. Now, as you can see here, we're zoomed in on Portland. It really doesn't look like Portland, does it? But it is Portland. And you can see all the A's and B's and T's. These are actually the taxiway markings. But you might be saying, well, I can't see the airport outline. Well, that is because we're going to move on into the next view session, which is diagrams. Diagrams will show you stuff like arrivals and departures, as well as be able to enable airports and be able to see how the flows look depending on which way the airport is running. But right now, as a ground controller, what we recommend you have on and what should be on is this airports under SIDS. Turning that on turns on the airport outline. So now you can see how the airport looks. Look at that. Now you can see exactly the taxiways. You can see the text as well. This is where 99% of the problems come from for people who tell us that they can't see the airport. Be sure static text is on, as well as under diagrams you have the airports enabled as well. You can also enable different things depending on it, whether you want to see maybe the 2.8 flows or the localizers for whatever you want. But right now, as a ground controller, you'll want to turn on that airport diagram so you can see the diagrams of the airport. Up in the upper left here, this is Pearson. This is the secondary field that you will control as a clearance delivery controller in Portland. But that basically wraps up the view menu, basically tell you to play around with it, see what works for you. Under tools is where you can see all of the different areas of the VRC, all the different windows. First up is flight strip bay. You can see I've enabled the 2-column flight strip bay, so there's 2 distinct columns here. This will show flight strips, just like in real life, on how the aircrafts are filing their flight plan. If they're VFR, if they're IFR, if they're inbound, outbound, you'll be able to see their flight strips pull up here, and it makes a very easy use to see who's inbound, who's outbound, who is going where, which is very nice, something that we recommend you start to use to get to know when you're beginning controlling. From here as well, we have our controllers list, which you see over here on the right-hand side. This will show you all of the controllers online. It will also show you all of the observers online as well. So you can see maybe you have a center is on, maybe a tower is on. You can see them in the chat box. You can double-click on their names, and you can start a PM window with them as well, so you can private message them. We also have the aircraft list as well. This is where I was talking about when you wanted to input the arrival and departure fields in your settings area. This is where it will populate all of the planes coming in and out for arrivals and departures. To do this, you want to put in the arrival and departure fields in the settings menu, and then you will see a population of all the aircraft that are coming in and out. You will start to use the arrivals and departures window more and more as you kind of get weaned off of using the flight strip bay. Some people still like to use the flight strip bay, but a lot of controllers, once they really get into their own groove and their own flow, will actually start to use the arrival and departures menu instead of the flight strip bay. Moving on, we have our comms panel. This is the crucial part of setting up of how to talk on the frequency and how to come up as a controller. So to get started, you're probably going to be working Portland ground. So you'll want to go in your communications window, click one of the boxes under name. Since the first one is available, we're going to click it. And then we want to end up posting information on there. Under the position name, it will want to be what your position is. So if we're going on as Portland ground, it would be PDX_GND. Just like that. No extra numbers, no underscore S, no anything. Just PDX_GND. And then we will want to put in the ground frequency as well, which I believe is 121.9. But even though it's 121.9, we need to add all 3 letters after the point. So if the frequency is 0.9, it needs to be 0.900. Alternatively, if the frequency is a 3-number frequency, maybe it's 1755 or something like that, you will want to drop the last number and turn it into a 0. So if the frequency is 121.975, you will want to drop that 5 and put in a 0. The VATSIM network only works with the 2 numbers after the point instead of the 3, so you want to always keep that a 0. Otherwise stated on the Seattle RTEC website, our Vox server will always be RW rw.liveatc.net. Just like that, rw.liveatc.net. And the Vox channel is your position name. It should look exactly like the position name is. So it is PDX_GND, just like that. No _1, no _S, just PDX_GND. You will want to save those changes, and you will see that it will populate now on the communications window. So if you wanted to prime up on a frequency, and when we talk about priming up, it's about coming on to the frequency so that people can see that you're online, you will want to click the PRIM button. This primes you up on the frequency, enables the frequency for people to hear you. This will auto-click the transmit and receive buttons, and then you will have to manually select either headset or speaker. So if you wanted to have all the audio go to your headset, you would want to click the headset button. Or if you wanted everything to go to your speakers, you can click the speakers button as well. Now, as you get to know a lot of the more positions, you can actually add positions to this list. Let's say we can also add Portland Tower as well. And then I think the tower frequency is 133.75 or something like that. I don't know the frequency off the top of my head, but we're doing this as an example here. So you know that Portland Tower is 133.75. The Vox server is going to be the same, rw.liveatc.net, and the Vox channel will be PDX_TWR, just like we did before. So let's say you have these two both in your communications window. Let's say, hey, I'm going to start my tower training soon. I want to listen to tower while they're online. Well, if you have their stuff in the communications window, you can click the receive button as well as either the headset or the speaker, and you can start listening in to what the tower controller is saying. This is a better method than clicking on people to monitor them because that is kind of buggy at times. But you can click that receive button and then click either headset or speaker, and then you will start to hear the people talking on their frequency. Now, of course, you won't be able to queue up on their frequency unless you put the TX button, which is highly unlikely for you to do. We don't recommend that if you're listening into a frequency to click the transmit button, just click on the receive button, which is something that's nice. You'll also see here that when you do prime up on a frequency, it will appear in the upper left of the bar here, and we'll get to that in a minute. But that is how you configure all of the communications. So depending on what place you are working at, you will want to put in the position name, the frequency, and the Vox channel. The Vox server will always stay the same as rw.liveatc.net. You should always save those changes, and you'll be good to go. Next up here is your weather panel. You can add airports to your weather panel and then get their full METAR information when you click on them. This will come up as a list separated by the call signs of the airport when you add them in. Nice feature if you're having to look up the weather for multiple airports. CellCal panel is something that you will never use because the Seattle ARTCC does not have a non-radar control position. CellCal is really for the oceanic controllers, which currently the Seattle ARTCC is not a oceanic center. That will be either Chinook, Moncton, or San Francisco Radio, which Seattle is neither of those. You also have the incoming chat log as well. The incoming chat log is an entire log of all the conversations that you've been having with people, both on frequency or via PMs as well. You'll be able to see their information come there. So if you ever need to get any more information or need to go back to somebody, you can go to that incoming chat log and you'll be able to hit people up and see what they said to you. Now, the help menu, something that we would recommend that you take a look at, is both the quick start guide as well as the command reference. The command reference is all of the dot commands and F commands that are built into VRC. They don't need any special configuring. They don't need any special anything. They're built into the website, or not the website, the program. The ones that you will be using is the viz points. what you want to do is .vis and then your point, which will usually be the airport ICAO code. So when you open up VRC, you will want to put a vis point over the airport by going .vis space KPDX, let's say, because you're working in Portland. So VIS KPDX. It might not work because I'm not connected. Oh, it did work. Look at that. So it basically puts a nice big yellow ring around the vis point so I can see exactly where I can see, which is very nice to have. From here as well, there's other commands that you may need to use as .break, meaning that you are requesting someone to come relieve you. It may not always happen, but it does give other controllers in the area a way for them to see that you are about to get off. But we also, which is very important, is the .f commands. We've got .ff, .fv, .fn, .fa, and these are the ones that you'll use more often because this is how you find airports, find VORs, NDBs, intersections, fixes as well. This is where you type it in, so you don't have to see every fix, but if you wanted to bring up a specific fix, maybe you're looking for a fix within your ARTCC, you can do .ff, and then let's say it was Bowzo, you would type in BUWZO, and then it would show you it on the board, so you would not have to bring up the entire fixes window to be able to see that. It's a very nice feature. Other features include how to message people, how to everything and anything in between. Definitely take a look at the .commands list and see any that might be something that you're going to want to use when you are controlling. So just take a kind of quick gander over it. That basically wraps it up for the tools and help menu. Now we're going to look at the VRC menu in full. So you'll see this bar up here at the top. This is called your button bar. These are all the quick commands that you're going to want to see when it comes to what's going to be happening in the airspace. Stuff as this bar, which is on the left-hand side here, the H, M, C, and R, which are basically status indicators. The next one over shows your Zulu time, which is 22:10:45 Zulu, which is the time that I'm recording this video. It tells you to set the prime frequency, so that means that if you kind of click on this box, it opens up your communications window, and then you can set your primary frequency as Portland ground, and then you can see there that it shows 121.97 as the frequency you're primed up on if you choose to prime up on a frequency. You can see that there's a space in between those two. That will show you the call sign that you're signed in as. Because I'm not signed into the VATSIM network right now, it doesn't show anything, but it would show Portland ground if you were working Portland ground. Filters here you can turn on and off. This is how to enable or disable those filters that we showed you how to configure. The quick look, this is how to turn quick look on and off. You have 2 and 3 minute timers. These timers are for separation of aircraft. This is something that we'll use when you are working on a tower position. You will use this to separate aircraft, but for quick reference, your 2-minute timer is between regular-sized aircraft, and your 3-minute timer is for aircraft behind heavy aircraft, such as the 767, 747, A380, so on and so forth. All you'll want to do is click on either 2 or 3 minute, and it will start the countdown timer, so you can see just how long is left to give for spacing between taking off aircraft. And clicking it again will reset the timer. When you have the ATIS information enabled, you will see it right here. It says information delta is current now. If I clicked on it, it opens up the ATIS maker window, so I'll be able to set it to something different if it changes dramatically, but it will also start flashing. It'll kind of flash on and off if a new ATIS is available, and you can click it to basically clear the message. You can see here that it also says kpdx.wx, which is the Portland weather. This is something that you can bring up multiple of, so you can put Portland weather up there, but along with Troutdale weather or maybe even Seattle weather as well, and it gives you wind and altimeter information. But if you were to click on it, it would give you the full METAR information in a drop-down. Because I'm not connected to the network, it is not bringing in the default, it was not bringing in any weather information right now, so you can see it's just dashed lines. But that is about it. This is the entire VRC window. You will get to learn it more as you start to use it, as you see aircraft. You can right-click on aircraft. So if you had an aircraft that was at a gate, you can right-click on it, and it brings up a whole menu of items. Because we're not connected to the network and there's no aircraft on the ground, we're not able to right-click on anybody right now, but you'll get used to that once you start working with a mentor or instructor who will show you all of those menu items and help you out along that way as well. The bottom bar here is what you use to type in, so you can do all of your dot commands like your viz command, or you can put in, you can basically type to people as well. And this is basically the frequency chat. So anything you type in this field will be set out on the frequency for everybody to see. But if you click on an aircraft, like it was like November 1, 2, 3, 4, it would put in this little small left-hand side box, November 1, 2, 3, 4. And that means that when you send your next message, it will append November 1, 2, 3, 4 to the front of your message to kind of alert them and tell them, hey, I'm talking to you. To clear that out, or actually to clear out any of the items, let's say I'm typing down here, typing, I can hit escape, and it will clear out the main message. And if I were to hit escape again, it would clear out the call sign. So if you ever needed to have it cleared out in blank, just hit escape and it will clear it out. So that's basically the general overview of VRC. You will get to learn it more once you start your training on VRC, but that is everything you'll want to know. Be sure to always, always, always save. You will want to save all of your profiles or nothing will happen when you open it up again. It might look totally different. So go to your file, save session profile, and it will save it. That way you can close it down. And then if we were going to go back to VRC and open it up, we now see our PDX ground profile, and we can open it up and it goes back right to where we left it off. Now, let's go check out those reference materials that I was talking about a little bit earlier in the video. On the Seattle ARTEC website, we have our document center, which is on the left-hand side under Browse Our Documents. This document center is everything that is specifically related to the ARTEC. All of our specific policies, all of our specific procedures are in this document, along with training information as well. You can search through the left-hand sidebar. You can see we have minor clearance delivery information you can take a look at, but be sure to check out this information to learn all of the specific procedures here in the ARTEC. But if you wanted to get a general overview on everything to get your S1 rating, which is basically ground and clearance delivery, you will want to head over to VATUSA.net, VATUSA.net. This is where you'll find all of the information related to the VATSIM USA division. This is the division that you are in. From here, on the right-hand sidebar, you'll want to go to ATC Training. This will bring you to the VATUSA Training Resource Center. This is the general stuff that you will want to learn. Whereas the Seattle ARTEC teaches you about the specifics of our airspace, the VATUSA Training Resource Center is for the general overview for the materials that you will need to know to get your ratings. So from the VATUSA Training Resource Center, you can go to Reference Materials. Under S1 Training, you can see everything from the introduction to clearance delivery and on. This is something that you will want to reference and to look at when you are taking tests, when you are learning information. This is something that you will want to learn and know about. So go ahead, take a look in those document centers, learn everything possible, because you will be taking a test at the end of this video, or actually you will get assigned a test at the end of this video. And you can feel free to use the VATUSA Training Resource Center to get all of those answers. It is an open book, open note test, so feel free to have the Training Resource Center open and reference for all of the answers, because we're not looking for you to memorize. Well, of course, you should kind of know it, but we're looking for you to know where to find the information so that if you don't know it, you know exactly where to go. That is the point of the Training Resource Center and the point of taking the tests. So, one more thing that everybody should know about. If you want to know exactly what the real-life scenarios are for air traffic controlling, go to your favorite search engine. Maybe it's Google, maybe it's Bing, who knows. But search 7110.65, 7110.65. This is the FAA air traffic controlling document. You'll see here it will be a PDF, a quite large PDF at that. And this is basically the Bible of air traffic controlling. Everything you need to know is in this PDF document. So we recommend that you save it and have it somewhere to easily reference. There is everything you need to know here. So if you ever have a discrepancy between the Seattle ARTEC documents and the VATUSA documents and the FAA documents, always know that VATUSA will be right. That is how, those are the information that the tests are based upon. The 7110 is a good reference guide, but there are some things that the 7110 will let you know of that cannot be done in a simulation format. So it is nice to have, and you can use it to reference, because a lot of the information from the 7110 is something that is going to be taught to you as a VATUSA controller. So be sure to take a look at it, save it to your desktop. I wouldn't recommend printing it out because it's about, I think it's about 600 or 700 pages worth of information. So unless you got 600, 700 pages in your printer that you want to use, well, then go ahead and print it out. It gets updated every year or so, so you'll have to print out more information. But that's beside the point. Just know that there's a reference here from the actual FAA. You also have your training resource center, but you also have our documents center as well. You've got 3 strong resources to get yourself started on VATSIM and with the Seattle ARTEC. Other than that, though, that is everything for your observation orientation. From now, what we invite you to do is email training@seattleartec.net. That's training@seaartcc.net, and request to be assigned the S1 test. From there, you will be assigned an S1 test, which you can find from the VATUSA website. All tests that you take will be assigned from the VATUSA website. You will want to log in here. It will alert you that you have a test to take, and you take it there. From there, you will either pass or fail, and an instructor or mentor will work with you on your training. So without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, be sure to drop by the TeamSpeak and ask away. We have mentors and instructors in there who are willing to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's always somebody in there who is willing to answer questions. So come by, say hi, ask us some questions, and that does it for your training for the VATUSA Seattle ARTEC training. You guys can head over to SEAARTCC.net for any specific stuff, but that about does it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck with becoming a controller, and we'll see you on the scopes.